It was only a few feet into the brush, and the eyes were at least 7 feet from the ground. I ran into the kitchen and quickly closed the door and locked it. As I peeked out the window above the sink, I noticed a tall, huge, dark figure standing in the back of the yard. The eyes still shone brightly and were looking in my direction. Today in Creepy History, we'll be discussing the DOGMAN of Southeastern Oklahoma. Hey everyone, welcome back to another creepy cryptid history. I'm your host, Brookester, and today we're going to be discussing a DOGMAN sighting. Well, they're saying that it's an upright coyote, but it's definitely a DOGMAN that they've seen. Now, this one is quite a good story, so I am excited to share it with you. So let's just get right on into it. It goes on to say, I recently received the following account. Hello, I want to report disturbing activity around my residence during the past 2 weeks. I hope you can give me an idea of what we're dealing with. I live in a rural area of southeastern Oklahoma, a few miles from Talhena. I lived there for all of 48 years and have never experienced anything weird around here before. On June 1st, about 10:30 p.m., I was on my back porch reading the newspaper. My husband was getting ready to leave for work. My porch faces a large wooded area, about 800 feet or so from the lake. I have a small yard and the edge of the woods is about 50 feet from my house. My husband was walking out the back door, said goodbye, and walked to his truck. As soon as he pulled away, I heard a loud shrill coming from the direction of the lake. It reminded me of a pig squealing, but it was much louder and much scarier. I didn't get up from my chair as I looked towards the woods. After a few minutes, I heard something heavy walking across through the woods. It was definitely something or someone walking on 2 legs. It was so dark I couldn't see anything. Suddenly, 3 deer burst out of the woods and ran alongside the house. I thought that they had caused the noise, so I got back up and walked into the house. Most nights, after I come home from work around 8:30 p.m., I eat dinner and then I go out on the porch and read the newspaper. Ever since that first night, I heard the same shrill sound on 4 other occasions. My husband sat with me a few times and he was surprised by the sounds. He has been a hunter all of his adult life, but didn't have an idea what made those sounds. This Tuesday night, I was sitting on the porch talking to my daughter by phone. My husband was working that night. It was around 10:45 p.m. I had a strange feeling most of the evening and kept my eyes focused towards the woods. I was about to get ready and get up and walk into the house after ending the call, but then I noticed a pair of bright yellow eyes looking at me from the woods. It was only a few feet into the brush and the eyes were at least 7 feet from the ground. I ran into the kitchen and quickly closed the door and locked it. I turned the lights off inside, but the porch light was still on and the edge of the woods was slightly illuminated. As I peeked out the window above the sink, I noticed a tall, huge, dark figure standing in the back of the yard. The eyes still shone brightly and were looking in my direction. As I continued to watch, my eyes were adjusting to the low light. I then noticed the long, thick arms with fingers and long nails. I then recognized a long snout and long, pointed ears. Then suddenly, it turned and ran into the woods. It was gone. I was literally trembling because I had no idea what I just saw. I called my daughter back and told her. My son-in-law and her immediately came over and spent the night with me. My son-in-law had brought his rifle with him. The next morning, I told my husband what I saw. He is part of the Osage and believes in animal spirits. but he was confused by this thing I described. He told me that it might be a trickster spirit, and if we ignore it, it won't bother us. I'm not so sure that I believe that. This didn't look like a spirit, and it literally resembled a huge dark coyote walking on two legs. She asks, "Have you heard anything like this? Please contact me. I'd like to ask you a few questions." And he writes back, "I called the witness and tried to answer her questions. She has not been able to see tracks or any other evidence. She heard a shrill sound last night before she went to bed. Her husband contacted the authorities, but she said that he was just making inquiries, wanting to know if there had been any other reports. It seems they refused to give out any information. Her neighbors have not noticed anything unusual, but she told me that they were elderly and rarely go outside. I asked her to keep me informed on further incidents. Lon." Oh, hell no, guys. That was so creepy. And it shrilled like a pig, she said. I don't know. I mean, her husband could have been right. It could have been some kind of trickster spirit, or maybe even like a native skinwalker from there. To me, though, it did sound like a legitimate flesh and blood dogman. She said it was dark and walked like an upright coyote. And it had fingers, like the long raccoon fingers, and fingernails like dogmen are usually reported to have. Yeah, I would have to say that probably is a dogman, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's creepy cryptid history. It sure was a scary one. Have you ever seen a cryptid? Has your friend seen one? Send your encounters to me. You can email me, or you can just put it in the comments below. As always, Wolfpack, I want to give a shout out to all of the members of the channel. Guys, thank you so much for what you do. You really do help this channel more than you know. And also, guys, make sure you check out the merch. There's always a sale going on for 20% off your entire purchase when you put in the code Wolfpack at the end. And Wolfpack, remember, keep your head up, keep your paws up, stay strong, turn to Jesus, thank God on the daily, no matter what you're going through. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving this video a watch. I will see you in the next. Bye!